everyone! I wanted to make a funny video today because in the last few weeks I've been focusing on more serious topics, but I've been seeing all these stupid things on Twitter this week and said things need to be discussed. So the overall topic of today's video is prejudice, discrimination, and racism. If you didn't know, I'm Norwegian, and I always talk about Norway as this warm and open-minded country where people are allowed to be who they want to be and who they are and all of that. But Norway still has issues, and there is definitely racism in Norway. A lot of people just assume that these welfare countries are great and people are great and everyone has great attitudes, and it's sadly not the case. Of course, most people don't care about the color of your skin and all of that, but some people are stupid. So this week I saw a video shared on Twitter where a black person in Norway was randomly asked by a stranger, "Do you miss home?" And the person replied to her and was like, "But I am at home," with a perfect Norwegian accent. And the stranger was clearly a bit like, "Oh, in Norway?" They were clearly surprised at the response. I'm so confused as to why some people think that a nationality comes in one form only, especially in the global world that we live in today. This actually reminded me of when I worked in Disney World in the Norwegian Pavilion in Epcot, so we're there to represent Norway, and without fail, all of my colleagues who weren't white constantly had people saying like, "Oh, you're not Norwegian, you can't be Norwegian, right?" And guess what? I didn't get these questions because I perfectly fit the stereotype of what people think Norwegians look like. People's built up prejudice about what they expect from somewhere. I have to try and not get too, like, I'm a person with a lot of passion, you could say, so I get very into something and I sound very angry and intense when I talk about stuff, but this is just one of those topics that it's kind of hard not to just be furious. So I'm not even gonna apologize for coming off as angry in this video because I am angry, and I think it's important to validate these feelings and to show them, especially as I'm a white person and kind of has an extra responsibility to care about these things. But yeah, obviously no one should have their nationality questioned, and this kind of, you know, falls into the category of like, "So where are you really from?" Imagine asking someone who isn't white, like, "Where are you from?" and they say Norwegian, and then you're like, "Oh, but where are you actually from?" Even if they weren't born in Norway, like if they identify with being Norwegian and they consider themselves being from Norway, like how do you have the right to question that and investigate? What if they were like, "But where are you really from?" Because I mean, chances are your ancestors haven't lived there forever. Okay, this is kind of like a different conversation. I'm sorry, this is hard because I don't want to make videos like this every week because I feel like I'm not educated enough to be a fully like political channel, but then when I do make these videos I feel like I just talk so much. Okay, let's move on to the second thing. I can't find this full interview, but it's basically by a person or like some kind of like a leader person in the Democratic political party in Norway. It's not a big party. I actually had to look them up now. Basically, this is a right-wing party that want to remove the option to seek asylum in Norway. They want to ban Islam. They want to stop financial support to other countries. It's just not a party that I identify with at all. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised to hear something like this coming from one of their leaders, but it's literally the reason I'm making this video. He said that immigrants who come to Norway and have kids should give their kids Norwegian names in an effort to fit in, because everyone in one country should share the same values and the same culture. And he said that this should be a requirement, and if people don't do this, they should be sent out of the country. And I am absolutely mortified that someone could even think that this is okay. Like, how can these words leave your mouth and you don't stop to think like, "Oh, this is crazy"? Why would you give yourself the right to control what people are doing in their own lives so much so that you decide what they get to name their children? I don't even understand why this is important. I don't even know where you would draw the line here, because would you make a pool of names that are only Norwegian that people get to use? Which, first of all, no one would have a unique name. Everyone would like share a name with multiple people in their class. It would just be boring, you know? And second of all, a lot of the names we use in Norway are also used in other countries, such as, you know, the Netherlands and Sweden, Denmark. And what would happen if I, as an ethnic Norwegian, wanted to give my child a name that's not Norwegian? Where would you send me? Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put in a penalty? Because this would need to apply to everyone. I just can't understand why people are so afraid of different. I don't know why they have this strong need to make everyone the same, which that sounds like some scary tendencies we've seen in the past. We don't want to go back to that. I am so happy that the Norway that my kids will get to grow up in is a much more diverse and culturally richer country than what I grew up in. When I started school, the absolute majority of kids there were white ethnic Norwegians. It wasn't until year 4 or 5, I think, that more people of color started our school. People from different African countries joined our school and they were all black, and that was amazing because finally we had some diversity, and it was just an excellent opportunity for our schools to teach us about other cultures and teach us about hijabis, which we suddenly had in our school, and we hadn't really seen that much before. So that was new, that was different, but we got to learn so much, eat good food. And one of the people who started our school started in my class. She became my first black friend ever. But you know what happened? Suddenly my conversations became richer, my perspective was widened, and I learned more about other people. And obviously the best way to learn about people is to be surrounded by diversity. It's not something to be afraid of. Everyone not being the same shouldn't freak you out. Someone having a name that maybe you can't pronounce because you haven't seen it before, that shouldn't make you stressed out. Guess what? I live in a country where I have a foreign name, no one can pronounce it, but no one's asked me to change my name to fit into the culture. That's just not how you run a country. Obviously, if you're a person who has changed your name to make it easier for yourself or whatever, like obviously you're allowed to do this if you want to. I'm just saying it shouldn't be a law. The person did say that if they were to move to, say, Japan, they would not name their kids Norwegian names so that they would fit in there, which I like kind of feel like the focus is on the wrong thing here. I don't understand why names are that important. I don't even know how you aim to get someone to embrace your culture more by putting restrictions on them. This is just insane to me. I'm glad this party is not one of the big ones. Don't vote for people who are literally just gonna make life harder for people who did nothing wrong. We have an election this year, so I hope they don't do well at all. I am getting heated, so probably time to end the video. I hope you took something away from it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will make an effort to do what you can to make people's lives easier, especially if they're being discriminated against. Speak up whenever you can. I know it's scary and difficult, but don't let stuff happen on your watch if you can prevent it. I know not one person can just save the world and make racism and discrimination and prejudice go away, but we really have to make a collective effort to at least show our disgust at how people like these treat people. No one should be treated differently because of who they are and where they're from and the color of their skin or their appearance or anything, especially what's out of their control. So for all our siblings out there, do what you can. We're all living on the same planet. We should all be able to get along and be nice to each other. Wow, I like how quickly I can go from like being super angry and heated to like a children's TV show. Thank you so much for watching. Send this video to someone you know who would learn something from it, and I shall see you next Friday. Keep the good vibes. Bye!